live, going live. Give me a chance here to get some screens bumped up here. Let's find my YouTube. And we'll hit go live. And that will bring me to here where I press encoder live streaming. And here where I find the chat box that I minimize. And so I can see that somewhere over here. And slide that over. Slide this down. And yeah. So what is going on? So sorry about that. Crappy cables. Yeah, still going on and on about this Eric Johnson solo here. What I did lately, and I think what you guys should do too out there, is get yourself a loop pedal if you haven't already. It's such an awesome practice tool, even if you're never going to be a live looper out there. Like I told myself I would be, but still have yet to try. What you can do is just set yourself up with all kinds of practice things. And here, what I did is I downloaded the basic, or I didn't download, I actually recorded myself playing the basics of the backing bass line over the solo part to the solo that I'm trying to learn, a little solo piece in the song Pavilion by Eric Johnson. The first solo, not the second one. And what I boiled the bass line down to is basically 2 chords. It's just, you just can see through the complexity when you harmonically analyze these tunes to, just get a handle on what it took to make the solo, like what was it all about. And I'm still trying to work it out. What I'm doing is mapping out the bass line over the solo and seeing what notes in the solo actually coincide with the changes in the bass line between the F and the C note. It's 2 notes, F and C. There's more to it than that in the real song because they're outlining a C minor chord and an F major chord, but aside from all that, it just works to get your ear in tune and help you sync your playing up with the bass line instead of just playing to the guitar. And then when you're playing to a backing track and you're just trying to play it with just the other instruments and there's no other guitar, sometimes it can get a little off-putting there unless you really lock in with the bass player. I don't know if all that's true, but I think this is pretty cool. So I'm going to just give it a run here. And if I start it just right, I'll be able to get right into it. But there's a part here that doesn't go along with this before the bass line starts. So here it is, the build-up. We're going to call this the build-up. I've already messed it up. And right there goes to an A minor. And the song changes keys at that point to a natural minor, which is, of course, the same thing as C major. I mean, it's not the same sounding or theoretical thing, but it's the same pattern on your guitar. So in case you're wondering about the mechanics of the switch from, where is the A sharp major, from C to A sharp major, is a whole step down, and that would share 5 notes. So it's a reasonably close key change. So that's why that works out pretty well in that song without, any real jarriness, I guess. But what should we talk about today? You know what? Let's skip out of Eric Johnson land, and if you catch this episode and you want to know more about that, just ask in the comments below. But I'm going to carry on today with what we were going on like 2 live broadcasts ago. We were getting into the tritone run and how it works out on the fretboard, and I wanted to show you guys something that came up as I was fooling around with that info. So we'll draw a fretboard here. Every animal drinks good beer easily, right? I guess. And right down the center here, we go 3, 5, 7, 9. Skip 2 to my loo. Skip 1 fret. Draw the 12th fret. Skip 2, and then we're at same thing, repeating above. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make another 12th fret here, which is the 24th fret. We'll draw a line, and we are going to be done with our fretboard drawing here. Alright, and let's get that connected. Using our handy dandy straight edge. And we'll go over that misplaced dot we drew. Just draw right over that. Ooh, that messed all up there, didn't it? What a morning. You guys having a good morning out there? Breakfast. Okay, so aside from our wacky fretboard here, tritone run. Let's start on G here. Should we start on G? I guess we'll start on G, and we'll make some tritones. I'm just gonna gray them out for now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make that skip for the B string. This is just repeats every other note. This would be the 1. This would be a flat 5th. You can even make that the root. Root, flat 5th, root, flat 5th, root, flat 5th. That's how that works on your guitar. If you go up to the flat 5th by skipping 5, that would be minor 2nd, major 2nd, minor 3rd, major 3rd, 4th, flat 5th. Does the same exact thing again. Flat 5th, root, flat 5th, root, flat 5th, baby Ruth. Alright. Yeah, I know, it's the root. It's not candy bar. Okay, so there's that. Now, one other thing you can do is, we discussed in the last lesson, aside from drawing this down the whole fretboard here, skipping another 5, finding your root, flat 3rd, and, well, what the hell, we'll fill it out on the whole fretboard. Here's why not. Great. Alrighty, so ooh, texts are coming through. And we'll even consider the open G string here. G string. What are we talking about? So you got this tritone run here, and what we also did was take that root right down the middle there and take our flat third and our flat third, and what is it, our sixth? Yeah. And we made that all the way down the fretboard as well. Show you something that'll see a pattern develop when you're just doing it like this. But something even cooler happens when you color these in and you see the possibilities of being able to solo around your fretboard here. Whoa. Show you that in a second here. Let's actually get one more thing filled in here. Right in between these two notes. Fill in here. Skip for our B string. And fill in right here. And right here. And right here. And you should remember this from our last lesson. We we were doing the moving in flat thirds and showing you how it created this diminished scale or chord. And it sounds like it's got this little musical usage for building tension and some being tied to the railroad tracks. You know, you can picture that in one of those old movies or something. So what this will show you, I haven't really made use of this, but I have a good feeling that this will come up sometime soon in my playing. Let's color in each of these notes. So let's make the root green. We'll make our flat fifth red. We got a root. We got a root. Is that right? Be right. This will take some time. It's a problem with live lessons and edited lesson. I would fast forward through all this and wouldn't leave you guys hanging. Do 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 do. All right, nearly done. What do we got here? All right. Okay. So beans. Let's color in our flat fifth. We're going to use red. And we want to begin to notice something here. Just based on our first four strings. Do 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 do. And the moon is the only light you'll see. No, I won't. No, I won't. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. I don't know why, but the song "Stand by Me" just popped into my head for whatever reason. Probably some kind of flat third in there, but maybe not. So let's just notice right here, right off the bat, like where do you find the exact same notes? Our really pretty close to you wherever you are, the same two notes. If you're trying to target a third and a seventh, basically, here you are. As part of, say, a tritone. So let's say your root was here. This would be your 7, 3, 5. So this would be your major third and your 7. And you'd find that here and here and here. And if you were trying to target those notes as that chord played, you would know you were in your, maybe that chord's flying by and you're here somewhere. You know that pretty much those are the two notes for that moment, for wherever else the chords are going. It's one way to think, use this information. And let's see, let's give some more color on the screen. How about yellow and orange? Basically, yellow and orange are going to do the same thing here. So let's make the, what do we got? A third and a sixth. So the third is going to be orange. And the sixth will be yellow. I think I should have done that the other way, but too late now. So that means we're going to be on this one down here. All right. Yellow, not necessarily showing up. I suppose that's showing up. So when you just consider this top set of strings here, you've got, you can see how it's always the same exact 4 notes up here, and they just jumble around. They basically, this goes from top to bottom, this goes from bottom to top and reverses. So then this one goes from top to bottom, and this one goes from bottom to top and reverses. And it just keeps on inverting like that, all the same way up there. So if you can handle that kind of thought in the middle of your solo, that, if you were here and, you're next, you'll be here, you can go here, you can play up here, you can play here, and you can play here, and you'll always be playing the same notes all the way up and down the scale. So for example, and I did that every time I wanted to find, by looking at my fretboard. So oh wait, it kind of looks like, hey wait, which fret, which fret, which fret, and you just, when you're playing these two, you visualize skipping this fret, and up on this pair of strings you'll find the same exact note, and then you skip a fret and it's down, and you skip a fret and it's back up, and you skip a fret and it's down, and you skip a fret and it's back up, and the only difference is the notes are switching around, but it's the same exact notes. So it's kind of neat how once pairs of notes are involved on 2 different strings, they repeat very closely. So you got once again. Kind of like that. Just moving up the fretboard there. So there's that. You can see how every what else can we go live with? The other day, I did get a question from a someone who liked one of the videos. I appreciate that. I can't remember the screen name. I remember it started with an E. And for his question, he asked, "Can you say anything about the differences between major and minor, and kind of what happens with those differences during modulations?" And an excellent question. It's a very broad question, so that can lend itself to a okay, hold on just a second here. In the middle of that thought, I was gonna say it can lend itself to like an hour's worth of just talk and without ever getting to a point. I noticed that my one of my channels here is not picking up the way it should, so check 1 2, check 1 2. It has to do with that crackling we heard earlier. I'm thinking. Check 1 2. Okay, that's much better. Check 1 2. Okay. So now you're probably hearing me on 2 channels. Let's see why that's not showing up. Down anywhere there. Mic audio 2. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Okay, I guess we're doing all right. Okay, well. I guess it's kind of useless for me to get on here live when I really don't have anything on my mind to talk about, because you're probably watching this going, okay, dude, are you going to tell us anything or get to any kind of point here, or are you wasting our time? And I'm sure I just had everybody click off the video at this point, but if anybody is still around, why are there 12 notes? Let's ask a fundamental question about music theory. I've recently watched a couple of great videos that you can find online telling you about, like, why are there 12 notes? And I think this one video I saw was really, it ended up answering, like, how are there 12 notes, but not really why. And it just graced over them, but spent, like, an hour telling us how. So, I'll explain it really like this. Basically, like you can see right here, you can use your guitar because you're a guitarist, so you want to put this in guitar sense. If you start with the open E string, and there's an E up here, there's all these notes in between that are, there's 12 notes in between, divided by these frets. But why 12? Why not 15 or 18 or 24 or 53? So theoretically, you could have any of those combinations. It's basically how you want to basically divide this. Listen to this. That's what exists in between the octave, all that sound. So as you can see, there's notes in between the notes that we've divided. So it's basically from, let's take the 5th fret and slide between the 5th and 6th fret. So there could be this note, and 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 this note. If you put like 5 notes in between those notes, they're somewhat distinctly different, but they're not really distinctly different. So what that would mean is you wouldn't have a whole lot of distinction. You'd have tons of notes to memorize, and probably way less people would make music. If you divide it into 24, it gets a little closer, but you got like 2 notes for every 1 note of our scale. Creates too many possibilities, and they begin to wash into each other. What happens when you divide it into 12 relatively spaced notes, it gives you a palette, a reasonable to work palette. 12, it divides kind of like the 12 is a very common dividing point for systems in 60-based math, I think it's called. Like 60 minutes in an hour, 60 miles per hour, 12 months in a year, 12 hours in a day, 12 notes in a musical cycle. There's a good reason for 12 that's beyond the scope of what I can talk about in this lesson. So 12 gives us a nice workable palette of distinct notes. So let's give it 3 reasons here, because 3 reasons is a good reason. So one is distinction. If it wasn't for this distinction, music might go into extinction. Ha ha ha. Okay. So 12 notes brings good distinction and doesn't really every note ends up sounding like it's pretty clearly its own note. Like, for example, if we took each fret and just made it into 2 notes, is it out of tune? Is it which note? It becomes harder to tell. If you just divide it in 12, then these notes become even if you slide, there's reasonable distinction. So 12 notes brings that distinction. And had some notes written down earlier. And those notes are gone. Wow, I wonder if this was meant for a video I was going to try to make. Look at what I had written down on this page. It was apparently going over Kid Charlemagne, analyzing, for the most part, what's trying to find out what scale was used. But there was a lot of chromaticism in that scale. Hence, all them other notes. More than we're going to talk about today. And what we were talking about is all right. Well, earlier in my head when I was thinking about doing this lesson, I wrote down 3 good reasons that there was 12 notes in the major scale, and all I can really remember what I thought of was one. So anyways, the bottom line is, whatever. I'm done with that. Creates distinction. Did I write it down here? No, no, and no. Yeah, okay. I don't have the chat up anymore, so I don't know if anybody joined in. Let me bump that window up. Nobody's joined in. 2 people are watching that won't say hello. Maybe they don't know where the chat window is. So anyways, what do we got here? Gives you 12 notes, gives you a nice palette of moods to work with. When you divide into 12 notes, it creates an interesting, and the notes become distinct. You can really map out some emotions. So it gives us the modes and all that jazz you hear on the radio. So, and it just makes it easier to handle. 12 plus then you get to like, well, why are there keys? What are keys about? And basically, you think of a key opens a lock, right? You need a special code to open a lock. So a key is like a code, right? And so the same thing with a major scale. A key is taking 12. Let's say, you had a lock with 12 what they call tumblers in a lock. And only if you select 1, 2, 3, and then let's say 4, and this one, and this one, there's 12, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so our code is 1, 2, 3, then don't skip a space and do 1, 2, 3, 4. that'll open our lock. That would be like a key code to a lock. Well, that's the key code to the major scale. If you choose this note, but not this note, but not this note, and this note and this note, you'll get a nice sounding do, then re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And if you don't choose those notes, it'll sound more like... pretty good. But if you choose do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, it goes... and it starts to sound... got purpose, reason, music, whatever you want to call it. It loses its arbitrary randomness of just playing a standard row of divided tones. You begin to unlock some musicality just by playing that code, and then all music is found within that key. You can start this from any one of the 12 tones. That gives you the 12 keys. As long as the code is there, the key to music is unlocked. The key to major scale music and minor music, which is within this scale, major and minor. So then, guess beginners are stuck right there going, well, how is a minor scale in and with, sounds major to me, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Where does minor come from? It really depends on, now from here, you're not limited. You can start on different notes within this key framework. Let's call this a framework right here. 3 and then 4 whole steps. These are whole steps. This is a half step. This is a whole step. So whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step. Or 1, 2, 3. Next to 1, 2, 3, and then it repeats, so it would be another similar kind of half step. So, 1, 2, and 3, and would butt up against itself again. 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, on and on and on. Now, considering we were definitely just simply not going to ever play these notes right now, you notice it lines up with the black keys on the piano, because the white keys are making up a key, but let's not get confused with that right now. I can start, theoretically, not only could I move this to any one of the arbitrary 12 notes, but I can also, when I play, I can emphasize one of these root notes. It doesn't have to be. If I emphasize this root note, I get the standard do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But let's say I want to emphasize the re. I'll get a different sound. If I want to emphasize the mi, meaning the bass plays this note while I play the same exact scale, the tonality will change. And why is that? Here's why. It's all about a major third. Today we're going to call this the 1. Okay? So we always have a flat second, a flat third, then a third, and a fourth, and on. These all have a code. What we need to concentrate on for major and minor are the flat third and third right here. These two notes are so special in music and so important. They're really the deciding factor between, is your music happy or sad. Everything else is added in from there. But first and foremost, are you in major or minor? And so that is basically equipping any note with pairing it up with another note of either this choice or that choice. One or the other, and they're not going to sound good together. So, look, on the guitar it would even be hard to kind of play 2 notes adjacent to each other at the same time. So, anyways, if I choose this in the minor third is the sad note, and the major third is the happy note, right? You can make yourself a note if you're brand new. And this relationship is the flat third. go a step up and play the major third. Now the chord sounds cheery. Now it sounds sad. Minor third, major third. So if you start from here, or let's say you started from the natural 1, notice that the scale goes up and the note it hits is on a major third. So this is going to be a major scale. Let's say I start from here. Let's take a look. We go to 1, we skip the flat second, we're going to play a second, then we're going to play the flat third and not the third. So this would be a starting here, or playing a bass note on this note while you jam all these notes will give the listener the sound that you're starting here, indicating that your sound is minor, and it'll sound minor. If I play a, I'll show you right now how this works. I'm going to play a scale, and I'm not going to change the scale. It's going to stay in one pattern on the guitar, okay? It's very important for you to understand that. So did you hear that? I'm going to play a pattern. You're going to hear 2 different pieces of music. It's the same exact notes on the guitar. The only thing I'm going to change is the bass note to make a completely different sounding piece of music. So here we go. And I'm going to use the keyboard to do it, so I got to turn around for a second here. Okay, so you get that in your head. Sounded pretty reasonably happy. Let's try this again. So when I played the root note on the second, you heard a kind of not totally sad, but a little bit more sad than the original, and that was because that was Bittersweet Dorian. Not as serious as Natural Minor, and definitely the lightest of the three, the third being Phrygian. Let's try that. Same exact notes I'm going to jam. Same exact scale. No difference. So as you can see, it's not about you on the fretboard trying to make all these modal sounds. It's about what's playing in the background. Just know the parent key and you're good to go. And then it's just you. I use my ear to kind of make it sound the way I want to sound. So. Alright, so more of a gothic and sinister, serious minor. Phrygian. Now, at the end of that, I played the intro to Free Will, but it didn't really sound like it, even though it was the same exact notes. Here's why. Let's try this. Sound a little more like it. So now I played the F note in the background, and that is more what that riff that they used out of the C major scale was based on the F note in that scale. Starts on F, ends on F, and the bass, I believe, is doing something to do with that F note. So. I believe that's all the C major scale. But that song is based on mostly Lydian. F and C and stuff like that are in there. Okay, well, I'm going to leave this lesson today with that. I'm going to bump up live and see if anybody said hello. No one is commenting on the lesson. So maybe I'll go on later when people see this one and realize, how about this? It's 1 o'clock. Why don't I go 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time? Why don't I go live at 2 o'clock today? No, I can't say that. I'm probably going to go and do something, so never mind. Maybe I'll go on later tonight, 6 o'clock, something like that. And as I drive around today, I'll think about something more interesting to get on here and pipe up about. So until then, have a good day. Hopefully I didn't waste your time too badly in this lesson, and we'll go on to more things, especially questions that you guys definitely ask. We'll go on with that. That being said, I guess I'm going to leave you guys. Have a great day. Hopefully you like the video and whatever. But I'm not going to tell you to subscribe or like on this one because I'm just not happy with what I talked about today. I thought it was kind of not as impactful as previous lessons. So have a great day, and before I waste any more of your time, we'll see you later.